This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is MLB pitcher Dom Leone. Don, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. How about you?
Not bad. You know, surviving the quarantine.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, take me through. You were just at spring training, and what happened? How did it all go down? I think you guys. Well, I don't know if you specifically, but I know MLB was playing the day after everything shut down.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Obviously, you know, this happened with all 30 teams, but we basically showed up at the facility, had a team meeting, and, you know, the message that we got out was that, you know, things are getting pretty serious on a global scale, and we should really consider going home, being with our families, and kind of riding this thing out. And obviously, as things have progressed, you can see, you know, the statewide quarantines and stuff like that. It was kind of a no-brainer for guys to go home. Yeah,
for sure. You definitely got to stay safe. And going back into time a little bit, how'd you get started playing baseball?
Man, I mean, if you want to go all the way back to the beginning, you know, I played T-ball as a kid and played Little League, all the way up through high school. And my sophomore year was kind of when I started to realize that baseball was something I was actually pretty good at. Mm-hmm. And so I just started to focus on that a little bit more than everything else. You know, I played basketball and stuff too, but realized, you know, a 5'10" white guy was probably going to have a hard time making it in college and further on. So I decided to focus on baseball, and that's kind of when it took off for me was probably that sophomore year of high school.
Yeah. While you were in high school, were you only a pitcher, or did you play the field too?
No, I actually played positions more than I pitched. I obviously was a starter in high school, so I pitched every, fifth day or whatever. But then I played center field. I played third base. I caught for a while. So I kind of did everything.
All right, that's dope. Yeah, so then what was your recruiting process like out of Norwich Free Academy?
It was pretty crazy. You know, luckily we had a lot of good athletes come out of the Northeast. You know, that was the time when, Matt Harvey and Jesse Hahn were at Fitch. Actually, NFA, we had Eric Campbell, Andrew Kerrigan, some pretty good baseball players coming out of there. Mm-hmm. So I would say I benefited from that. There were a lot of people, a lot of scouts, a lot of, cross-checkers that were starting to take notice. And so, obviously I played well in high school and got seen by the right people. And I ended up going to 2 national showcases, which really kind of expanded the recruiting process to places outside of the Northeast. You know, without those, it was basically UConn, Boston College, University of Hartford. Those schools were, the only options I had. And then I went to those showcases, and it turned into, Clemson, Louisville, North Carolina, schools, stuff like that.
Where were the showcases at?
One was in Minnesota. So it was in the old Metrodome.
Okay.
Which that was cool. That was the first time I got to pitch and play on a big league field, which was unreal. And then the other one was down in Lakeland, Florida. It was at the Tigers' old spring training facility, but it was a big national showcase. That was pretty sweet too.
That's dope. How did you ultimately pick Clemson?
So basically in the recruiting process, you get talked to by all these schools, and then you set up official visits. And it just so happened that Clemson was my first official visit, and I went down there, and it was immediate. My thought process on, wow, this is crazy. And I just fell in love with the campus. The people down there were really nice. I really liked the freshman class that was there at the time, which, and, they were great. The guys that host you, they were awesome. A lot of Northeast kids. So I kind of felt right at home. And ultimately, they told me they were going to give me an opportunity to play, and I bought into that, and ended up canceling all my other official visits and chose Clemson right on the spot, pretty much.
Wow, that's crazy. Did you commit like right when you were there, or you just went home and then you just were like, all right, that's where I want to go?
Yeah, I ended up going back. My parents and we flew back to Connecticut, and I just thought about it for a couple of days and was like, I mean, this is too good to pass up. I had phone calls and stuff with the other programs I was looking into, and they were getting ready for me to come down and do my official visit. But I ultimately just told them, I was like, sorry guys, it's just, I guess, unlucky, but Clemson was first, and it's going to be the last too.
Yeah. And yeah, you grew up a UConn fan though, right?
I did. Yeah, I grew up a huge UConn fan.
Yeah, I remember seeing you like post it all the time. So was there any like thought of going there or no?
Yeah, definitely. They were right up there in the mix. Unfortunately, like, it was one of those deals where I don't think, like, once bigger schools started calling, I don't think they planned on me staying home. And there was a big whole, scholarship money, thing where they were like, yeah, we don't have any scholarship left. Mm-hmm. And I said, oh, okay, well, that kind of makes my decision a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But it was definitely in the mix. That was when they had a really good program. Guys like Springer and Matt Barnes was there. I mean, they had a ton of good talent.
Weren't you guys matched up versus one year?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, so that would have been 2011, at Clemson, we hosted a regional, and UConn came down for the regional. They ended up beating us at Clemson, and they went to the Super Regional play South Carolina.
Oh, that's crazy. Were any of your friends on the team? Like, did you know anybody?
I knew, like I said, I knew, Springer and Barnes and a couple other guys. John Andreoli was on that team. But, yeah, I mean, it kind of stunk. Like, that was the one team I didn't get to play against, or I didn't get to pitch against. I was like, the starts, like, didn't match up, so I never ended up pitching against them. But that would have been pretty cool.
Gotcha. What was your overall experience like at Clemson?
Oh, it was great. I love it to this day. I'm still a diehard, alumni, I guess you could say. But I had a blast, man. The recruiting class that I was in, a lot of great guys, awesome friends. I mean, friends for life. The facilities were fantastic. The school was actually pretty good. Coming from the Northeast, you don't really know. Like, I didn't know what the heck, Clemson specialized in. I thought it was football, but they actually have a really good academic program. And no, it was such a fun experience for me to kind of get out of my comfort zone and go down south and start to, kind of find new experiences that way.
Yeah. And what was it like? Just, you went to College World Series every year, right?
Playoffs. Yeah, I was going to say we made it to Omaha my freshman year. That was by far the best year that we had. Like I said, then we hosted a regional in 2011, and then 2012 I think we made the tournament, and we went to the South Carolina regional. So yeah, we were in the NCAA tournament every year, but my freshman year was the only time, and actually the last time that Clemson's been to Omaha.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, so yeah, going to your junior year, at the end of the season, what was your decision to enter the draft, and then you ultimately left?
So that was definitely tough because I did like Clemson a lot, and obviously I wanted to finish my degree and all that good stuff. But I started to see kind of the writing on the wall where, like, this could be my best opportunity to get into professional baseball, and that was the ultimate goal. And I had a decent junior season. I was getting looked at by some, teams. And what's crazy about the whole, like, draft process is, like, the scouts they'll basically tell you whatever you want to hear. Mm-hmm. We're going to draft you high. We're going to take you here. You'll get a big signing bonus and all this stuff. And, that's all good and well. But then, when you're sitting there on draft day and it all doesn't come to fruition, that's where you get, kind of butthurt. But it was tough, and actually I was really close to staying. It's actually a funny story when I got drafted, because the season had ended and I was still down in Clemson, and a bunch of us were all in the same boat. We were waiting to see if we were going to get drafted, and my college roommate got picked in the first round, so we were all pumped about that. Our catcher got picked in the 5th round. So, like, we started to see guys go. And then, I kept waiting for my name. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. And that was the first year that they expanded the draft. So I'm like, oh, man, like, I don't think I'm going to get picked. Like, I'm just going to stay at Clemson. I'll finish my senior year and, try it again next year. Well, I ended up going out playing golf. And before I teed up on the first tee, I got a phone call from the Mariners area scout. And he called me and he said, hey, Dom, like, we're taking you first pick of the 3rd day, 16th round, congrats, you're a Seattle Mariner. And I was like, oh my God, no, like, no way. That's crazy. And he's like, yeah, he goes, you still want to do this? And I was like, yeah, of course. He goes, okay, great. I got you on a plane from Providence to Everett, Washington in 2 days. We'll see you soon. So when they say that life comes at you fast, that's totally true.
So what was that like? That you go there, then what, they were like pitching you to try to get you to sign?
Yeah. So basically, once I got off the phone, I had to make the decision of whether or not I was going to sign. And I told them right then, I said, yeah, like, I want to do it. Like, I'm going to go. So they got me on a plane. I flew out to Everett. That was where our short season team was, rookie ball. And yeah, I got there, signed my contract, and boom, like, you start your minor league career right there.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
And what was the other factor? Like, I know usually going for your senior year, it's like, I feel like some teams are frowned upon drafting seniors too. And you have like less leverage, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That was for sure a factor. Like I said, I felt like after my junior year is where you have your most leverage. Mm-hmm. Now, I know the draft process has changed since then, but back then, like, a lot of seniors it was not frowned upon, but those guys were just unlikely to get drafted and drafted high. Mm-hmm. And basically back then, I say back then like it's the old days, but, like, when you looked at the draft and when you looked at where guys got picked, one thing I learned was that, opportunity seemed to come more in professional baseball for the guys that were higher round picks, which makes sense. I mean, the team invested a sizable amount of money and a higher draft pick in you. Like, they're going to give you every chance they can. So that's where I was like, well, 16th round, like, that's still pretty good. Like, I might get an opportunity. And, who knows what happens. You come back for your senior year, you get hurt, you don't ever get drafted. I mean, it's just, there are too many variables that weighed on me, and that's why I just decided to go.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess your rookie minor league season, you killed it. And
yeah, I had a good year.
Yeah, you're like younger than your class, I guess, because you had the late birthday, so you're only 20 at the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's probably why they liked you too, because you were younger.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I couldn't even have a legal beer out in pro ball. So they were like, yeah, this kid's going to be straight and narrow. This is good.
Then, yeah, what was your first minor league game like?
Honestly, it was less exciting than like some of the college games I'd been in.
Yeah.
Obviously, you kind of downscale from a big-time major D1 university where you're playing in front of, 6,000-7,000 people. And then you go to Everett, Washington, where there's 50 people and it's freezing. And, like, totally different vibe. But, I mean, it was exciting. I mean, that, like, now this is a job. This is your career. It definitely brought a different aspect to baseball.
Yeah, and then how was it for you transitioning from starter to reliever?
That was actually pretty easy. I've always kind of had a reliever mindset, and like that mindset where you go, okay, I'm taking the ball. I'm literally going to throw this thing as hard as I can for one inning and and call it a day. So it was easy. They put me in the pen actually just by chance. Since I had started that year, it was like I had like 85 or 90 innings, and they were like, we don't want to, overtax you, so we'll put you in the bullpen. And I ended up having a really good year. I pitched, I think, another 30-something innings in rookie ball. And that offseason, they called me and they were like, yeah, like, prepare to be a starter in spring training. And I said, okay, whatever. I did my throwing program all offseason. And then I got to camp and they were like, no, we're going to keep you in the bullpen. I was like, all right, cool. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So you didn't care which you were, either a starter or reliever?
No, I wanted the opportunity to pitch. That was really it.
And then
it didn't matter.
Yeah. Take me through what minor league life is like.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's not all glitz and glam. Like, people hear professional baseball and they think, the guys that make millions and they drive sports cars and have huge houses. And there is some of that when you get to the top level. But I mean, the grind that you have to put in the minor leagues is unbelievable. And that doesn't get enough recognition from the general public. I think that gets lost in the realm of professional baseball. I mean, it's tough, dude. I remember my first paycheck was like $200 maybe.
Yeah.
For a 2-week paycheck. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's unbelievable. And you got to think about it like this. Half of the minor league guys are either high school kids or, kids from different countries, Venezuela, Dominican, whatever. They don't, those are young, like 16, 17-year-old kids, imagine putting them out in the real world saying, here you go, here's, $200 2-week paycheck. You've got to feed yourself. You got to feed, if you got a family at that time, because some of those Latin kids had families. They start families early, and it's like you got to support. You got to support people on basically less than minimum wage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember there was a court case about that, but I don't know whatever happened to that. Because it was like the minor league players are basically not even making minimum wage.
Yeah, I do remember that, and I don't know what exactly came out of that, but I do know, I remember the proposed settlement was like less than $1,000 a player, like a minor league play if they had won, and so I mean, I guess everything you can get helps, but it wasn't really going to be a humongous change.
Yeah, and then going through the minor leagues again, you pretty much killed it and just shot up really fast. I mean, you made the majors in pretty much 2 years, 2 seasons. So what was that? What was that like?
It was crazy. It was a whirlwind. And let me backtrack because, for all the negative things I just said about the minor leagues, I did have a lot of fun. I mean, there are definitely times, challenging times, but there are definitely times where it's a blast. And I think that's what helped me, get up to the big leagues as fast as I did. It's just because I had a good group around me. I had a lot of opportunity, which was nice. And we just had a lot of fun, man. I mean, I remember that first year, that first full season was 2013. And I remember I got sent to Low A in Clinton, Iowa. And it was the absolute worst place on earth. I'm sorry if anyone from Clinton, Iowa is listening to your podcast, but it was brutal. And I could not wait to get out of there. And the only way you get out is you pitch well. So I think my first 3 games, I pitched really well. I had a big velocity jump that first full season in the bullpen. Like I went from throwing like low 90s to like mid to upper 90s. And so I did really well in Low A. They sent me out after 10 days. And then I went to High A for probably about 3 months. That was in High Desert, California. Literally just, it's like a sandbox. Like there's no tree. It's like no trees, no nothing. It's just straight up desert. I was there for a while. Again, pitched well. It's a really hard league to pitch in just because like all the stadiums are smaller and the ball just jumps out there. A lot of wind. I pitched well there. Then I got sent up again to Double A. So my third team change. So a lot of moving that year.
Yeah.
But honestly, I kept the momentum going. I got to AA, ended up pitching really well there. And, at the end of that season, they were going to send me to winter ball. And basically what happens is if they want you to stay sharp and they want you to, continue throwing, they'll send you either to like instructs where they bring you to the spring training facility and you go through like a little mini camp, or they'll send you to winter ball, or they send like their top prospects to the Arizona Fall League. And so I finished up in AA and I had a really good year. And they called me and they were like, hey, we want to send you to winter ball in the Dominican. Do you want to go? And I was like, no, not really. Like, I just told them, I was like, no, I don't really want to go. I just want to go home, relax, hang out. And then they were like, well, there's also the Fall League. We weren't going to send you, but like if you made a Fall League roster, would that, make you want to go? And I ended up thinking about it and I said, yeah, sure. I mean, seems like there's some good competition out there. And, and at the time it was like a really big thing for, like I said, prospects and people to go watch and see. And so I ended up doing that. So basically that year ran like from February till I think Fall League got done end of November of just constant baseball. And it was just a crazy roller coaster ride.
Yeah. That's a long year.
Yeah.
And like when they ranked the prospects, did you notice you got like ranked higher after that season?
That was the first time I actually saw my name on a prospect list. It used to be like to the top 30 prospects for every organization. Mm-hmm. And at the time, like first of all, there was no chance I was getting on that prospect list. And then I had that season, that first full season. And that was the first time I think I was like still like up in the 20s or something, but at least I made it. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm at least getting some recognition. This is kind of sweet.
And going into the minors, did you have like a goal of when you wanted to make the majors?
No, I mean, definitely not a timeline. Obviously I wanted to make it. Yeah. That's the goal. And, whether it took 1 year or 10 years, I just wanted to make it whenever the time was right. And if I earn it, I earn it.
Yeah. So then going into the 2014 season, did you made the big league roster out of spring training?
Yeah, pretty much. I got invited. So after that Fall League in 2013, I got invited to big league camp, my first big league camp in 2014. And that was nuts. Talk about being starstruck and, you're in a locker room with, all big league guys now. And I had just turned 22, and I'm like, there's no way I belong here. And I remember my locker was like in the very corner of the locker room, just kind of separated from everybody else. And I remember I used to sit in my locker, like not even on the chair. I would push my clothes aside and sit in my locker because I'm like, I don't want them to come find me and tell me they're going to send me down. But it was nuts, man. I had a blast, and I went into it going, I mean, look, I got nothing to lose. I'm just going to come in here, pitch my ass off and see what happens. And like you said, it turned out pretty damn cool where I was there until the very last day. They actually sent me down the very last day. They sent me to AAA Tacoma. And it was more because they had a guy on the roster, and if they were going to keep me, they had to make a roster move and let somebody else go. And it was a complicated process. But I didn't even pitch one game in Tacoma. Like the season started a couple days after the big league season. And I think it was literally 3 or 4 days in, I got a phone call and they were like, hey man, like you're getting called up. Congrats.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, take me through the first game. Like they call you from the bullpen and then what happens?
Yeah. So my first big league game was in Oakland. I made my debut April 6th. And I remember they called down, they had me get going. I was so nervous because, first of all, I have a huge pet peeve of bullpens being on the field. Okay. It's an absolute mess. Yeah, it's like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. Not to mention, you've got like 10,000 screaming fans literally hovering over the bullpen, just yelling at you, booing you. I was like, all right, here we go. Like, I'm getting thrown to the wolves here. And so I remember jogging in, and on my jog, I focused just on the ground. I was just like, just don't trip. Like, just don't trip, don't fall. I was just staring at my feet like, okay, one after the other, don't fall over. But it was odd because as soon as I got on the mound, everything went back to normal. Like, you just kind of, you zone everything out, and it just becomes baseball again. And then, of course, literally, I remember my first batter, I faced Eric Sogard, little second baseman. He was, I think he's a switch hitter. Anyways, give up a double down the line. And I was like, okay, here we go. Welcome to the big leagues.
And who was your first strikeout against? I know you got a strikeout that game too.
Coco Crisp.
All right, that's a good name.
First, I know. Well, so growing up a Red Sox fan, I remember, him being in center field for the Sox, and I'm like, oh, sick, cool, Coco Crisp. Boom, got him, first punch out.
Yeah, that's dope. And then, what else was your major league experience like your rookie year? And did they haze you in any way?
Well, no, I guess compared to now, now you can't do anything. But yeah, I had the pink backpack. I had to fill it up every day, waters and Gatorades, and you had to carry it every game. But there's no true way to describe that first big league season. It was unbelievable. We had such a good bullpen. The guys down there were awesome. I'm pretty sure that Mariners 2014 bullpen ended up being, I think, one of the best in the league that year. And we just had so much fun. We would be out there just chirping outfielders every chance we could, like just having a blast, telling jokes, laughing. But then as soon as somebody's name got called, it was like, all right, here we go, going to war. And we dominated that year. It was so much fun. And I learned so much, so many things that I still value today as I'm still playing.
And did anyone take you under their wing and show you the ropes?
Yeah, honestly, that whole pen did. I was the youngest guy in there by far, but I had guys like Joe Beimel. He was like a crafty 38-year-old lefty who'd been doing it forever. Tom Wilhelmsen was a stud. Charlie Furbush was a stud. Danny Farquhar was on that team. Fernando Rodney was a closer. All of those guys, we were so close, such a tight-knit group. I basically followed those guys around like a puppy dog all season. Just had to make sure I didn't screw up or, do something stupid. I was just constantly in their hip pocket, oh, okay, cool. They're doing this. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah. And then the following year, you get traded. So what happened there?
Pretty crazy. That's a whole nother aspect of baseball that is kind of goes under the radar, but I didn't start the year well at all. I pitched like shit, to be quite honest. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was up in Seattle, and I went home to my apartment, and I got a phone call from the GM at the time, and he says, "Hey, we just traded you to Arizona. Thanks for everything. You have a flight at 7 a.m." And I'm like, "Oh crap!" I had to pack up my car, my apartment, clean out the fridge. I had to do all that stuff literally in 5 hours, and it was nuts. It's crazy when you get traded, and from the other side, Arizona called me, and they're like, "Yeah, we're so excited to have you. You're going to be a guy for us." And it's great. It's cool. There's another organization that really wants you. It's kind of a whirlwind of emotion. For me, I always loved Seattle. I still do. It was a great spot. I had a ton of fun, like I said. It's so crazy just being in the business of it all, though, and just understanding how good of a year I had the year prior, and all of a sudden I start off really kind of slow, and next thing you know, boom, you're gone.
Yeah, I think the most underrated thing in sports is just the travel.
Yeah.
that you guys have to do. Like, it's just crazy to me.
There's no doubt. I mean, that Seattle team, we traveled, I think, 10,000 more, air miles than any other team that year.
Yeah, that's
just insane.
Yeah. And then, just going throughout the years, you played in Arizona. Then you came back, and you got traded to Toronto?
No, so I actually got designated. Arizona, basically, they took me off their 40-man roster, but luckily Toronto claimed me, picked me up, and that was 2017.
Yep.
Yeah, so got claimed by them, and that was another unreal experience. Like, I had a ton of fun there. Again, just the transaction wire is something that goes unnoticed. Like, it's just crazy how many guys, get picked up, traded, DFA'd, released. All that stuff happens in the blink of an eye, and it's nuts.
Yeah. What other things did you have to do when you had to move to Toronto? Like, obviously a different country.
Crazy. We had to, I had to get a Canadian Social Security card. Like, the whole tax thing is just a complete joke.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just nuts. I mean, it's literally you're working in another country. So I had to get a work permit. A lot of that stuff. I mean, every time we flew in and out, you had to go through customs. So that was a bitch of a process.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, that's a place. I mean, if people haven't gone to Toronto and experienced Toronto, it's unbelievable. You guys have to, people have to go. It's such an underrated city.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I see the fans just on TV. They're crazy there.
Oh God, yeah. They live and die by, honestly, all Toronto sports. I mean, it's the passion up there is nuts.
And then again, you got traded. What is all this movement like in getting traded and wavered, and now you're on, and then you get traded to the Cardinals?
Man, I know it was crazy because I was getting ready to go to spring training in Dunedin with Toronto in that 2018 year. It was January when I got traded. And like you said, all this movement, I mean, it's overwhelming. It's hard, especially like when you start factoring in family and, I got married in 2016 and now I'm taking my wife everywhere and she's following me around. And so it was, all the movement is just nuts. Even still, I mean, I'm still moving around. Now I'm with Cleveland, so it's crazy. It's definitely an adjustment, and a lot of guys struggle with it. To be quite honest, it's a really, really difficult thing to deal with. But at the end of the day, you just got to think about, these teams want you. They're going to give you an opportunity to play, and that's the ultimate goal is to keep your career going.
Yeah, I know you had a great season with Toronto. Were you disappointed that they didn't keep you?
Yeah, a little bit. I was looking forward to going back. Again, it was kind of like the same thing, the same Seattle situation where it was like I had a really good year. I really liked the city. I really liked the people. I really liked the staff, the players. It just felt like a really good fit. And then all of a sudden, boom, I have no control over it. But, hey, you got to go to a different spot. So that was definitely frustrating. But, again, I mean, luckily I landed in another good spot in St. Louis. I mean, all the players there, they definitely had some experienced guys too. I mean, that was a whole nother roller coaster ride in my career.
Yeah. And then I know you got released by them this offseason. So then you were a free agent. That was the first time you were a free agent, right?
Yeah. Talk about pins and needles, man. Sitting around waiting for a job. Talk about stress too. That was tough. It's exciting though when you get a list of teams that call and they want you. That was kind of fun, but I don't know. These are all things that people don't realize. You're literally out of a job and you're just sitting around waiting, and all of a sudden, I think it was January, late January this year, when 4 or 5 teams called all on the same day, and they're like, "All right, here we have this offer, take it." And I'm like, "Whoa!" I had nothing for 4 months, and now all of a sudden, I've got to make a snap decision right now. What?
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy. And I'm really happy I picked Cleveland. I was actually really excited to potentially get an opportunity there. And of course, then the whole world had to get shut down, so that's cool.
Did you meet Chris Antonetti? I know he's from Connecticut too.
Yeah. I met Chris. He was the one I talked to on the phone quite a bit when I was making my decision. Very good guy, very straightforward. Just tells you what you need to hear, and is very truthful and very honest. And that was definitely one thing I liked. Kind of drew me to their organization.
And then during the off season, what's your pitching workout routine like?
It's definitely changed over the years, but like for me, I start throwing in December. So I'll start throwing basically December 1st. And I just build myself up. When you've been doing this for, this is now year 8 of professional baseball, you start to figure out what you need and what you don't. I remember early on in my career, like my off-season throwing program was like very intense. I was trying to, build up as much arm strength as possible. Now I know my routines where I'll throw a couple days a week, just get it in, get the arm moving again. And I could get myself to a good spot for, February, whenever spring training comes around.
Yeah. Then what advice would you give to a young athlete or a young baseball player?
I think the biggest piece of advice I can give is just make sure you're still having fun. There were definitely times in my career, during all that change and all that movement and, all the ups and downs where I lost kind of that fun, that feeling of it's a game, that I get to play a game for a living. Like, that's unbelievable. I would say you always just make sure, like, always double check on that you're having fun, because there's nothing worse than, being miserable. And this game is hard. And honestly, it goes farther than baseball. Baseball, basketball, football, any sport or anything you're into. I mean, failure is going to be an aspect of it. And you have to keep reminding yourself that, as long as you're having fun, as long as you're enjoying what you're doing, you'll make it out the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Have you faced any of your Clemson teammates?
I have. I faced the one that's popping into my head most is Brad Miller. He was my shortstop there when we were both at Clemson together. We're still good buddies, still good friends. I remember I faced him. I was in Toronto, and he was with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it's dope. You ready for some fun questions? They're gonna go from average to savage.
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, what's your favorite song right now?
Ooh, favorite song right now. That's a good question. Oh man, I don't know. I don't even know. It's definitely something country. I've been just rocking out to country Spotify.
All right.
I don't know. I'd have to look up my Spotify playlist here. We'll go back. I'll find the name of the song. I got to think of it.
All right. What was your first big purchase?
Ooh, I bought a Jeep. I bought a Jeep Grand Cherokee. I remember that was like the big thing. I didn't want to get like a super, super nice car, but like that was pretty dope. I like that car.
What about who's your top 5 favorite pitchers of all time?
Top 5. Definitely number 1 is Pedro. Number 2 would have to be Craig Kimbrell. Number 3 would be Roger Clemens. 4 would be Felix Hernandez. And 5, I would have to say, is probably Mariano.
Yeah, it's a solid list.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite strikeout against so far?
Favorite punch out?
Yeah.
Probably Big Papi.
Oh, that's dope.
That's a good one to have on your list for sure.
What about what's your favorite ballpark to play at?
Oh man, it's got to be Fenway. just because I grew up there. Like I grew up going to games there. I was a big Red Sox fan. I still remember the first time I walked out of the dugout there, and I was just like blown away. I mean, that place is an absolute baseball cathedral.
Well, I got to ask you then, did they hit you up this offseason?
No, they didn't. I was definitely bummed about that. Especially because I've always pitched well there too. And I was just like, oh man, maybe Boston will come calling. But no, we never had any serious talks to them.
And then what do you like to do in your free time?
I'm a big golfer. I like to go play golf. I'm not very good, but I like to do that. I'm trying to think. I mean, down here in the South, everyone's like a hunter, and like I'm just not big on that. Like I wouldn't know what the heck I'm doing. Plus, I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
I would definitely say golf is the biggest thing that I do in my off time.
And what's your favorite food spot in Clemson?
Ooh, there's two spots. There's a Japanese steakhouse place. It's called Osaka. Unreal. I would recommend it. And the other place is Potbelly Deli. It's a little breakfast deli place. Like if anyone goes to Clemson, you got to check those two spots out.
Oh yeah, I heard of Potbelly because my boy went to Clemson, so I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, Potbelly. I mean, it's like one of those places that if you don't get there at the right time, you're waiting for like an hour to get in. It's nuts.
What's your favorite pizza in Connecticut?
Oh, that's a good one. It's got to be Pepe's, the New Haven, down in New Haven. It's got to be.
Have you had
not the one
Sally's in Modern?
No.
Oh, you gotta have them. Sally's the one next door to it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I haven't had that.
Yo, maybe when you're back up here, we'll have to do a pizza review together.
Yeah, I was gonna say do it Portnoy style. Yeah. That'd be badass.
All right, last one. Who would you want to do a jersey exchange with that you haven't done one with?
Ooh.
Do you guys do that actually in the MLB?
No, I haven't seen it. I think it'd be cool though. Yeah. That'd be badass. If I were to do it right now, a good jersey swap I think would be like Trout.
Yeah.
That would be pretty badass. Like especially like if I punch him out and then like to end the game. You know, and then like you run over to him, hey man, like jersey swap. He'd probably be like, screw you, bro. Like,
oh man,
that'd be a pretty badass one though.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and could you let the listeners know where they can follow you at?
Yeah, man. You can follow me on Instagram, DLeone26. That's really the only social media I'm on, but please follow me. I'm not a big poster, but that'd be cool to get my follow game up.
Yeah, you don't like social media?
I mean, I do. I had a Twitter a long time ago, and I would just get blasted. People would blow me up, like if I had a bad game, and I was like, dude, I'm tired of reading this. Like, so I just stick to Instagram. Like I said, DLeone26. Give me a follow.
All right. Again, I appreciate it, and good luck this season. Hopefully, there is a season.
Hey, man. Yeah, I know, right? Thanks, man. I appreciate it.